Let's talk about that maybe a little bit. Everybody kind of rallying around, literally.
Well, and it's good because Tom was big to the strength coaches because they were all together. He didn't touch his sport, but his wife, Krista, touches some of my players more than me or any coach ever thought about, even strength coach. I mean, she's big time in our support staff academically. And our people that struggle, that don't struggle, are because of her. And so a lot of this is Tom's his part of the department, but also it's a family deal to me because she's a part of us. And then it was Rick's deal because those guys are in the weight room all day. Tom wasn't really working with our sports. You saw him a lot. I remember talking to him a month before his accident. He was coming from Martinsville. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I just did 50 miles. I don't want to drive 50, but he just went up to Martinsville." So anyway, hey Jeff, tell that down a bit. So anyway, Rick wanted to do it. I didn't want my team maybe doing too much because we were practicing. So, like Adam Rapog was a 35 guy, a bunch of guys in their high 20s. We were just wanted, after a long ride, I didn't want to get a pec strain. But I wanted my guys to set the energy. But by school law, I can't have a football sponsorship. So this was working with Rick, something I wanted to do, and I asked our team to participate. And you can see we got some families and basketball ladies I see and soccer guys that Tom worked with. And hopefully it's just going to be a good deal. He's transitioning. He's a special guy. And we just want to help him. So, and he's doing great. If we can learn how to handle adversity like he is, we'll be a great football team this year. Not a good one, because he's handling it awesome. But we want to help him. That's all it was.
On the field, the intensity that you're seeing from your defensive guys in particular, are they matching where you need them to be?
I don't know. It's early. First day in pads, shoulder pads. You're still trying to figure it out and how to hit. We got to learn to still play lower and physical and move your feet. We're gaining on it. We're just a little farther along, know more, understand ourselves. But for day 3, there's a lot in. It's okay, but it's still a long way from being good. We're trying to do a lot of situational things, not just learning defense, but learning how plays affect outcomes of games. Even early, we're learning right now how we want to play as a team and things that in kicking game that affect outcomes of games. Offensive issues, when you move the ball but don't score, or when you've got them backed up and can you pin them in there, you create a scoring opportunity. So we're trying to teach a lot of that stuff. Defense early, but until you really start going full-going tackling, you don't know what you got because it's subjective. Was he really down or not? So we'll see. But they're gaining. They're better. We're moving. There's a lot of work to do. We're not at the point of being a really good defense yet. And I don't know if this year will be a really good defense, but we got to learn how to play winning defense and how to work with the offense and special teams to help them play winning defense.
That's what when you were doing 7-on-7. I mean, the defense had like a 12-6 lead. If you guys were keeping score a little bit, then when you went to third down, the offense rallied a bit, and you pointed that out to the defensive guys, like, this is what we mean. This is when you need to get off the field.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of subjective. But again, the way I did that, it was 3rd and 10. If the offense made a play, it was worth 2 points. And when it was 1st and 10, if the defense made a play, it was 2 points because when there's no lineman, you should throw the ball with no lineman and gain 4 yards most of the time. So the offense, so it's not an even point deal. When it's 3rd and short and the defense stops, it's worth more points. When it's 3rd and long and the offense gets it, it gets more points. And then turnovers worth more points. So it's a little unique way of just trying to keep it competitive.
Exactly.
So, but again, they did a nice job in normal down. Maybe it's poor offensive execution. Maybe it was better offensive execution on 3rd down. And of course, when you're doing 7-on-7, the lineman up there, so who the heck knows anyway?
What'd you take from what the quarterbacks did today?
Oh, we're learning, trying to get a lot better. We still, out in air today, we had 7 drops. I think we had 6 balls. We just missed on air with no rush. So in the basketball world, that's a layup. It's a dunk. You can't miss. When you're playing on air, you got to be pushing 100%. Maybe you're never going to be. But the really good teams get close to it. So we got the ball on the ground too much, and that's a combination of receivers and quarterbacks. So but still, we got a lot going at them. It's not as good as we need to be. But you can see they're all playing. We got the young kid in there, Nate, and he'll be okay, but he's spinning. Trey, you can see we're trying to force him. You saw once he might pull out and take off front. We're trying to force him. Set your feet, get the ball in space. And Cam, we're better at that position right now. It's still not as good as we're going to need it to be, though. And we're better with all 3. Trey's better. So he's better. But we need all of them to be better for how we need to play.
The 2, later JUCO ads, Tim and Antonio. I know it's early, but what have you seen from them? Just kind of how are they?
Out of shape. Tim was here a little bit, but out of shape. Not where you need to be. And I actually grabbed Stephen Houston. I said, you need to talk to these guys. Because a year ago, he showed up in July, and he was not very good in August. And we were coaching. He's looking at us like we're messed up. And we're yelling at him to go harder. And he's looking at us like we don't know what we're talking about. And he wasn't very good in August. And He was getting a little bit better in September, and by the time 4 games was over, by October, he was our best back. But that's why he ended up with 800 yards. He didn't really play the first 4 games. And I said, you need to talk to those guys about how to practice hard and go hard and listen to your coaches, because last year you thought we were screwed up and you missed the first third of the season. And I said, you went because you were a late JUCO at. And so physically, okay, but a little out of shape and getting up to speed. So like to think they're going to have some impact with special teams and team, but 3 days in, they're not close to what we want. So they need to work. They need a sense of urgency, and you hope they'll figure that out.
Who's impressed you on true freshmen so far? One of the guys that you brought in. What have you?
The offensive linemen. The linemen on both sides are pretty good, man. Jerry's got, she's still thinking Big Ralph is going to be okay, whether he plays as a young guy. He's a big old dude. He gets a little high, but he's a force. And Alex Todd, if you saw on the board drill, if you may call it that one, just wailed somebody back as strong as can be. The second line is basically freshmen, Spriggs and Feeney and Bailey. And, Wes Rogers had a slight injury to his foot, so that he's not went full go yet. He's probably a couple days in the next week before he's full go. But Wes would probably be our second team center. And so your second team is all friend. I've really been impressed with Anthony Casaro. Walk-on tight ends came in and played as good as our second team tight ends last year. So not that he's an answer and all that, but it's good for Stephen Coleman. It's those guys, again, they're swimming and thinking. But there's some second, third year guys that need a great sense of urgency, because we've seen them pushing 20 months. And some of these guys that we've had 3 days with are as good, better today, which is exciting for them. But my thing is, we read the Ecclesiastes verse to a number of guys when there's a time for love and time for war. And for some of these guys, it's time to play. And they've been here a couple, 3 years, and it's their time. And we actually shared that back in spring. Summer and the preseason is time. So I'd like to see where some of those third-year guys that you guys have seen play a little bit, they really need to step up. Or if not, some of those second-team freshmen are going to be playing like last year's freshmen, whether it be a lot or as quality backups. And maybe backups your red shirt, maybe backups you get on the field.
A
little Ecclesiastes for you.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a great verse.
I was talking to Coach Latrell. One thing he said about Trey, he was talking about attributes and things he need to work on, but he said something. He said he wants to be great. And
Who's this?
Coach Latrell said that about Trey. He said he wants to be great. Are you seeing that kind of mentality more from more of your guys?
Nope.
No.
Because I don't know if they know what it looks like. When it took us a few years at Miami of Ohio, and the guy that really was what it looked like was Coach McCullough. The way he practiced. And I even heard Coach Crean talking about things kind of started helping over there when Will Shields and Victor Oladipo showed up and started practicing at a high level. When guys don't know what it looks like, it's hard to know what greatness looks like. And one of these days, some of these guys, whether the light comes on a guy here or a guy shows up that goes at a different level because of the commitment to it. So we kind of set the tone with the quarterbacks early about the way they need to approach their business, because they're not close to that yet. Not putting them down. They just don't know. But they're young, hadn't been here. We got to educate. We got to quit saying the guy isn't a good leader. You have to educate and teach him. We got to quit saying the guy doesn't know what greatness looks like. We got to keep educating and teaching. And maybe a guy can't grab it. Maybe he can't be a leader. Maybe he can't be great. But you got to try and force it. But you got to coach it. You got to teach it. You got to see if anybody wants to embrace it. That's where we still lack. What's better is some of the things that aren't well, or some of the guys, the players on the bottom have gotten better or aren't here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the guys on top, no one wants to step out of the pack. So the bottom has got to the top. The next step is the top needs to take the next step. That's when football teams and football programs, or any athletic or any organization, becomes better. When the guys that do your true leaders, your true best players, understand what it means. When the very first meeting I said, if you're the best players, you're held at the highest standard. And you respect that. It's another Bible verse. He who's given the most is expected. And that's how we coach our program. Some people don't understand that in our program, but that's one of the core foundations of the way we operate. Good men?
Yep.
Appreciate you being here. Keep roll call down.